Nice job, nice job. So I think it's supposed to get a little bit harder this afternoon, which is why we've adjusted our schedule a little bit. But thank you guys so much for joining us today. Today, and we're going to talk about our marriage. Yes, we're going to talk about our marriage. We're going to talk about how bad of a husband I am and how amazing of a wife she is. But we've been talking about, really for the last few weeks, we've been talking about relationships. We've been talking about relationships, not just marriage, relationships. We have touched on marriage. Next Sunday, you do not want to miss. Catherine Ojala will be here. She's going to talk about parenting, and she's going to do such a great job. She's going to be here Saturday for our women's event, and so if you have not signed up, sign up for the women's event that is on Saturday. We have a lot of ladies signed up already. Last night, we had a marriage workshop. We had, I think, 100 people here.
There's a lot of people here. It was really good.
Yesterday for our marriage workshop with Karen and, what was his name?
Mark
and Karen. Mark and Karen, they did a great job. It was so good. Yeah. Who went? Did anybody go? How many of you guys went yesterday?
I was there.
Was it so good or what? Nora, when we left, she said, "You're fixed." Wow, it's amazing. So, but anyways, it was amazing. We had a great time. Thank you, those of you that came. Today, we're going to talk about our marriage. And we're going to talk about, the ups and downs, things we've learned. We have a little bit of a unique situation that we'll talk about here in just a minute. But we're going to talk about our marriage. And we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're going to be, I don't know any other way to do it than just to be honest and open and vulnerable. That's kind of the way I roll. And so we're going to be very open, so don't judge us. Don't be mean to us. We're opening up, okay? But it's going to be good today, okay? But we've been showing you guys some memes throughout this series to kind of keep you guys awake through the series, and also because memes are funny, and my wife...
I like them. I do like them a lot.
She sends me so many, like a day.
I filter how many I send you because I'm like, if I send too many, you may not read them.
That is true. Like I have a hard time keeping up with the ones she sends me. So, all right, we've got a few kind of funny marriage ones. Here we go. Struggling to get your wife's attention? Just sit down and look comfortable. That works so good. That works so good, men. I mean, just look comfortable, sit down, watch a game, and you'll have all the attention you want, all right? Here's another one. Behind every angry woman stands a man who has absolutely no idea what he did wrong. Right? Right, men? Right? I mean, I'm in trouble all the time, and 90% of the time, I have no idea what I did. I don't know. Do you even know?
Yes, because you didn't listen.
I didn't listen.
You didn't listen.
All right, another one here. You left the toilet seat up. Yeah.
I don't even see the problem.
Yeah, she don't see a problem.
I don't see it.
She don't see the problem. So I did this. Now Nora didn't know that I was going to show this until the early service. I actually took a picture of my side of the sink and her side of the sink, and she didn't know we were going to show this until the 9 o'clock service. I showed her, and she looks at it, she's like, "That's not that bad." So, all right, you ready? Here's my side of the sink. This is my side. And then this is her side of the sink. This is actually a good day.
This is not accurate because anybody that knows that red cup, that's his. It's not mine.
Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. There we go. All right, now this is our marriage to a T. I mean, I wake up, I'm on the edge of the bed, her side, his side. She's like, "You're on my half." I'm like, "What do you mean I'm on your half? I'm about to fall." And she's like, "Let me help you with that," right? Like, her side, can anybody else testify to this morning? Come on. Now, we do need a bigger bed.
All you guys are going to enjoy lunch together today, aren't you?
Hey, if anybody wants to hang out, it looks like I don't have a place to go home today. So if anybody wants to hang out with me today, let's hang out. All right, next. Here we go. If two people love each other, nothing is impossible except deciding where to eat, right? All right. Have a seat, babe. Thank you. Thanks for joining me today. She's like, "This is nerve-wracking." I'm like, "Yeah, I do this every single week. Why do you think I'm always on edge?" And I'm like, Don't talk to me, right? Oh my goodness. It is a little nerve-wracking. So So we're going to look at a couple things today. We're going to look at some things that we're working on and hopefully give you guys a little bit of maybe a little bit of a warning as well here toward the end. There's been kind of an overarching theme for this series, and it's really a statement that I really wanted everybody to understand, because I think it can take a lot of pressure off us when it comes to relationships, not just marriages, but relationships, parenting, co-workers, but also in a marriage. And the statement is, there are no perfect
no perfect people because there's no
perfect relationships.
No perfect relationships because there's no perfect people. I didn't know I was going to say that.
You know, it's the way I roll, babe. You never know. You know what? This is so true, you guys. This is so important. So important. There are no perfect relationships because there are no perfect people. You're not going to be a perfect friend. You're not going to have a perfect marriage. You're not going to be a perfect parent. It's just the way it's going. I'm not going to be a perfect pastor, so be nice to me. Listen, we all make mistakes. I mean, we do. We all make mistakes. And if our standard is, well, my marriage needs to look like this, or my spouse needs to be perfect, then, I mean, the thing's going to fail, because any relationship, there's not going to be a perfect relationship because there's no perfect people. As a parent, we think we have to be perfect parents, but you're not going to be a perfect parent. Your kids aren't going to be perfect either. And so I think sometimes we just need to take a deep breath when it comes to relationships in general, but especially in marriage. We just need to take a deep breath and just exhale a little bit and say, it's okay if it's not perfect. It doesn't mean that we need out just because it's not perfect. There's also a verse that we've asked you guys to memorize, and Nora's going to read that for us. It's in your notes, and we didn't do fill in the blanks today. You have notes, and it's on our New Hope Eastlake app. We didn't do fill in the blanks because we wanted everything just to be there. So in case you didn't bring a pen or whatever, it's all there. So Nora's going to read the verse for us.
All right, John 15:12. This is my commandment: love each other in the same way that I have loved you. And then last week, Rick talked about how I can love my spouse the way that Jesus loves me. The first thing is wisdom, knowing what to do, knowing the right thing. And if it's something that's not good for your marriage, it's probably not a good idea to do it, and we should steer clear. And in the same, you should, if there's something that could benefit your marriage, do those things.
Yeah, I mean, to love, I mean, to have a healthy relationship, any relationship, or especially marriage, we see, Jesus told us to love each other the same way I've loved you. And that requires wisdom. And wisdom is knowing the right thing to do and doing it. Like, what could add value to your marriage. Maybe something that you used to do that you no longer do. What can add value to your relationship. Why not do it?
All right, the next thing is humility, being authentic. And this thing, I think this is the easiest for us.
Boom, we dominate this one. Yeah, we dominate this one.
Yeah, we're good at this. I'm definitely the most authentic with you than I am with anyone. I think we're both pretty authentic in general, but we don't have any issues being our true selves with each other.
Yeah, and
good or bad.
We knocked this out of the yard.
Yeah.
Like we do this one. There's a lot of things we don't do well. We do this really well. And I think we let each other be ourselves. Like, I don't try to make her into something that she's not, because making your spouse what you want them to be, it never works, does it?
No, it doesn't work.
They're not going to be what you want them to be. You need to let them be who they are. And I think being authentic, and then another part of this is no secrets. We're really good at this as well. No secrets. Why do you want to hide stuff from your spouse? Why? Why do you want to hide stuff from your spouse? Things that are, a lot of times that's not healthy, that's not good for the relationship. So, humility.
All right, and the last one I feel like is the most important in a marriage is grace. So, what love looks like when it meets defectiveness. And grace in a marriage is huge. I mean, you have to exercise a lot of grace when you're married to somebody who tends to be late for things or or somebody who likes to spend a lot of time watching sports. You need a lot of grace to deal with that. And
I don't know who she's talking about. I have no idea. Who are you talking about me?
I don't know, honey. It's just a general comment there.
Every marriage needs grace. Do you know why? There are no perfect relationships because there are no perfect people.
No.
And so we need to exercise grace in our relationships. A lot of times we only think of grace in the context of our relationship with God.
Yeah.
But have you ever thought about grace with your partner? Have you ever thought about grace in relationships with your children, with each other? Like, we're not perfect. We make mistakes. I mean, as hard as I try, believe it or not, I'm not going to be perfect. And your spouse has a good way of reminding you of that. But also, we need grace for each other. And a lot of this is like just lightening up a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
Like it's just lighten up a little bit. My gosh, chill, relax. Don't be so intense about all the faults that your spouse has. Like, you've got them as well, right?
Yeah.
Defectiveness, like what love looks like when it meets defectiveness. We all are defective. And so we need grace in our marriages. So Nora and I have a little bit of a unique situation, and some of you know our stories, some of you do not. So Nora and I have regrettably and horribly and gone through the absolute devastation of a divorce. And some of you can empathize with us. It's torture, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. I was married over 18 years previously. I was a lead pastor of a big church. It was a very public thing. Nora was married over 10 years. And so we have an interesting perspective on divorce. And you know that in a divorce, it's rarely one person's fault, and it's hardly one thing. And unfortunately, these days, somebody can divorce you and there's nothing you can do about it. Whether you show up at the court dates, whether you fight it or not, if the other person wants to divorce you, there's nothing you can do about it. And, it's frustrating, but that's the way that it works. And so we have been through some stuff, and we're going to share a little bit of that. We're going to be open with you guys. Don't judge us. We're going to be honest with you guys about some things. But, a lot of times we think, well, if I had a better spouse, I would have a happy marriage. And that's not always true, because you take your defectiveness with you. And remember, marriage isn't just about finding the right person, it's about being the right person. And some of the things that Nora has told me, I've heard before. Some of the flaws or the things that I do that I shouldn't do, I've heard before. And so that's just proof that you take your defectiveness with you. Now, let me preface some of the stuff that we're going to say, especially here in a few minutes, with Nora and I love each other to death. We've got a crazy cool connection, but we honestly would rather not be in the situations that we've been in. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. So what we're going to talk about, and these are in your notes, and these are not original with me, these are not original with us. These are from an incredible marriage coach named Matt Boggs. If you've never listened to his podcast, read his books, he kind of has these 5 no's of a relationship, especially with a marriage. And Nora's going to run through these, and then we're going to talk about each one. They're in your notes. They're really good. We are working on these.
Absolutely.
We don't have these perfected. We're working on them.
Work in progress.
And so Nora's going to run through these.
All right. So the 5 no's. The first one is no name calling. So this would be calling somebody a baby or calling your spouse a jerk. Just no name calling. Adds no value to your marriage. It's hurtful. It's harmful.
Yeah. This is a big deal, because why would we treat our spouse the way that we don't really treat people in public? Unless you're just not a nice person and you call people jerks and you cuss people out in public, and you're rude to the waiter, or we're rude to people in restaurants. It's why would you come home and talk to your spouse like that? And so this is something we've made a commitment to do, is that no personal attacks. We're not going to call each other names. Like, we're just not gonna, what good does it do? Like, it does nothing but hurt that person.
Yeah. The next one is no labeling. So name calling a behavior. So saying that you selfishly did something or you intentionally didn't do something.
You know, this puts judgment around the action.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times your spouse does things that frustrate you and they don't do it on purpose, right? But a lot of times we say, oh, you selfishly didn't do this, or you didn't do this because you
You're intentionally running late.
Yeah, have you heard that before?
You've actually never said that. And I just said never.
I've said you're running late,
Yes.
but I don't know if I've said, attached a label to it. But yeah, we got to be careful with the labels because, again, that does no good, and it assumes bad intent, that your spouse has bad intent. Let me mention this, like a couple of weeks ago, we were like, I don't know, we'd had a little thing. It was probably your fault, but we had a little humility, right? We had a little thing, and she wrote me a note, and she said, don't ever forget that I'm for you. I'm for you. And, you know, I think that's important, most of the time, I don't think our spouses are intentionally doing things to harm us or to hurt us.
No. All right, the next thing is no bringing up the past.
I'm going to crawl under my seat right now because I'm going to admit I need to work on this. I need to work on this. Nora and I both have a past. We brought baggage into our marriage because of what we've been through. And I am really bad about, I have this, I can't remember hardly any of your names. I love you and I try my best, but I'm not really good with names. But I'm really good. I have a file in my brain that works so good. And it's every little thing that she's done to tick me off. And whenever it's the right moment, I'm so good at clicking on that file and it pops right back up. What? I don't even remember that. What? This is something that I'm working on. And I think I've gotten better, right?
You have gotten better. Kudos to you. Good job.
I'm trying. The first, point of recovery is admit you have a problem. And so we talk openly about this. And so, we don't forget the past because there's accountability, but at some point you got to move past it.
Yeah. Don't live looking in that rearview mirror.
Yeah, and she reminds me, remember one of your sermons a few weeks ago? Don't look in the rearview mirror, right? And so, but that's so true. And it's so, it's true. Okay, let's move on to the next one. I'm uncomfortable.
All right, avoid words like always and never. You always do this. You never make dinner. Yeah, I mean, do these add value? I just think they're more hurtful. They're triggers.
And rarely is it always and never.
It's never accurate.
It's really, Nora, I never tell you I love you. Really? Never? I've never told you I love you? Right?
You never want to cuddle?
Okay, so let's talk about that for a minute. All right, we're both affectionate. You guys know, I give hugs to everybody that walks in this place, right? I'm an affectionate person. Nora's affectionate as well. So we're good. We hold hands all the time. We hug each other. We mac out all that. We kiss each other. We right? We're good in that department, right?
Yeah. We're good.
Do you want authentic or do you want fake? Which do you want? You tell me. Okay. So here's the deal. I'm affectionate. Nora's affectionate, but Nora has a tendency to be clingy. And there's a difference between affectionate and clingy. I have a hard time with clingy, but I'm okay with affection. Does that make sense? And we've talked.
That makes sense.
Yeah, we've talked openly about this. And it's always when there's a good football game on or something. It's really? Clingy now? Honestly? Really? I've told her, I feel like you wait until the best part of the game and then all of a sudden you want to get clingy. Is that intentional?
No, but you're cozy.
I'm cozy, yeah. So anyways, but there's times when it's up to me. I have to understand that she does get clingy sometimes. And I have to be a little more understanding sometimes when it comes to that. Sometimes there's times where she needs more clinginess than other times. And instead of like getting frustrated with her, like I need to be a little more understanding, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we got an amen here on the front row. Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
All right, the next one is no hitting below the belt.
Yeah.
I think in a marriage, this one is, it's kind of easy because we know each other better than anybody knows. I know him better than anybody else, and he knows me better than anybody else. He knows those things that are hurtful and what could really sting when you bring them up.
Yeah, and we've made a commitment to this, like no hitting below the belt. There are insecurities that both of us have. There are touch points in our lives that are very, very hurtful that we've been through, that we've done, whatever it might be. We don't go there. Like, we don't go there. And we have to be careful because, like, what's the intent? What's the intent of bringing something up that you know is going to crush your spouse's spirit? Like, why do that? We all have insecurities. We all have mistakes that we've made that nobody else knows about. And what happens is, if you have a very open relationship and an authentic relationship, and then you use that authenticity to crush them, what you're doing is you're saying, don't tell me anything again. Be fake. Lie to me. Don't be honest with me. Because if that's used against your spouse, then why are they going to open up to you again and be vulnerable and honest with you if you use it against them? And so no hitting below the belt. Again, these 5 things, we're a work in progress, but we've made a renewed commitment to these 5 things. And so we just wanted to encourage you with those things. What's next, babe?
All right, there are ways to inject life into your relationship.
And these are from us. Like, we talked about these. Like, what are things we do to try to like bring life into our marriage, to bring life into our relationship? What are some things we do? And here's some things that we do.
Yeah, so the first one is date night, date days. We do date night every Friday night. So
we knocked this out of the yard too.
We're good. Yeah, we're good at date night. We consistently do date night unless we have some extenuating situation where we have to push it to another day. But a lot of times if you invite one of us to do something on a Friday night, we're going to kindly decline because I've got a hot date and I'm gonna choose that. And we do the same thing almost every Friday.
We do.
Yeah, we go to Coronado and we go to either Mexican food or pizza.
Sometimes we flip a coin.
We did have to flip a coin a few weeks ago because we couldn't decide what we wanted. And then we go for a walk on the beach, and then we go to gelato. And the one thing that always stays the same is we always have gelato.
Yeah, if we didn't do gelato, I'm walking home. So, yeah.
Whatever, you love the gelato just as much as I do.
So we kick butt at date nights.
We're good at date night.
We do this. Now, I will admit, it is easier as the kids get older. I mean, it definitely is easier. But, you know, Mark and Karen said yesterday, regardless of how old your kids are, you know, you prioritize what's important. And if you don't set a date and a time and like Google Calendar it, make sure it's a reminder, make sure it's on your schedule, you're not going to do it. If you just say, oh, let's start going on a date night, you're never going to do it. You have to schedule it. We do it every Friday night. I take off on Friday. She gets off work at 5. And as soon as she's off, we're out. And Nora mentioned, most of the time, 90% of the time, we do the same thing. Yeah. And the reason why is because we both have busy lives, busy jobs. I'm making decisions every day, all the time. And Friday nights, like most of the time, we do the same thing. And we do it because we don't want paralysis by analysis, right? Oh, we have to top ourselves, or we have to do this, or let's try to think of this, or what do you want to go this week? What do you want to do? So 90% of the time, this is what we do. We go, if you go to Coronado, anytime 6 and after, you're going to see us there. We go, we eat at either a Mexican place or we eat pizza. We go on at least a 30-minute walk, depending on what type of shoes Nora decided to wear that night. We go on at least a 30-minute walk, sometimes more.
Yeah.
We go look at the house and the houses and just reminisce about how poor we are and like how someday can we ever please like even own a tent here. And so like we go walking around and we walk on the beach, we walk for a long time, and then we walk over to gelato, we get gelato, and then we go home. And then we
Watch Dateline.
We watch people get murdered. Like, it's just what we do. Like, you know. We do that now sometimes we go to Del Mar, sometimes we'll go
baseball game.
to a baseball game. Sometimes we do change it up sometimes. But the majority of the time, that's what we do. We just do the same thing, so we make sure we do it. Because one thing that never changes is that we do it every Friday night. We go on a date night.
Yeah.
Now, we thought it would be fun to do what? We thought it'd be fun to do this.
We thought it'd be fun to invite any of you to join us on date night.
We would love for you to join us on a date night. Now, obviously, we can't take everybody the same night, and we're not going to do it every single Friday because we want some time to ourselves. But we would love for you to join us. If you're not married, that's fine. If you're single, come hang out with us. I mean, come and hang out with us. Matter of fact, we've seen a couple of you at Coronado sometimes when we're out.
That's always fun. Is that how you got the idea?
What?
Because we've ran into people and it's so fun.
Sometimes we run into people and we're like, why don't we just invite people? So we're going to do this. We want to go on a date night with you guys. We'll go Dutch, right? We'll go Dutch. You pay for yours, we'll pay for ours. But we want to invite you. We want you to go on a date night with us. We would love to hang out with everybody. We would love to do it. And so this is what we're going to do. Over the next few months, Barbara's going to schedule these. You'll get an itinerary, all of that stuff. If you want to hang out with us on a date night, we would be honored to have you join us. You can email Barbara. It's going to be up on the screen, barbara@go-newhope.com. So if you want to hang out with us on a Friday night, see what we do. And it's not that, it's really not that big a deal. We don't, we're not out.
We're not super fancy.
We're not super fancy. We just go hang out. We have a good time and we go home. We're usually home sometimes by 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
8
we're
or 9
home
o'clock.
by 8 o'clock.
But she works till 5, so we're usually there around 6:30. But if you want to hang out with us, we would be honored to hang out with you guys and go on a date night with us. That'd be so fun. Next, babe.
All right, so the next thing is being stupid together, which I think being silly together is better. But yeah, being stupid, having a good time, loosening up, maybe dancing with me while I'm brushing my teeth at night,
So
have fun
Nora
together.
has this, I don't know what at 10:30, she gets delirious. And I'm tired, I'm ready to go to bed. Anybody else have this issue? After 10:30, 11, I get up, I like to get up early, so I like to go to bed at a decent time. She wants to party at 10:30 every stinking night. She's a night owl, and she wants to party all the time. And I'm like, babe, I'm so tired. And she always wants to party. Sometimes we party. Yeah, sometimes we party. But, but what I'm talking about, being stupid together, and I put this in there on purpose, be stupid together. Because you know what? Sometimes you just need to let your hair down a little bit. Just do something you normally don't do. Do something dumb. Just be how come the guys party with the guys, the girls go party with the girls, but you don't party together? Live it up together, party together, have fun. So check this out. So one of my good friends that I grew up with in Orange County, she recently turned 50. And her husband was retiring from a company that he'd started. They've got tons of money. So they rented out this resort in Carlsbad. And literally it was a whole weekend event for her party, her birthday party, and his retirement. And so they invite us and we go and we didn't do all the festivities, but we went to so they're doing all the gifts and all the festivities stuff. And they have this awesome band there, this big band and a huge dance floor. And they lower all the lights and they start handing out all these glow sticks and all this glow stuff to wear. And they're like, come dance with us on the dance floor. And I'm going to tell you, my first inclination was heck no. I'm not a dancer. I mean, I used to break dance back in the day, but that's a long time ago. So I'm not a dancer. Nora can dance. I'm just gonna make a fool of myself. And I don't drink, so half the people were lit, so they didn't even know what they were doing. And I wish I would have or something because, anyways, so we're sitting at the table and she's looking at me and I'm like, I'm not going out there. I'm not going out there. And then I looked at her and I thought, you know what? Let's be stupid together. And so we put on the glow sticks and we put on they're handing out, what was it, those rings?
They're like disco light rings.
Yeah, so you push a button, all the rings light up. So I put all rings on, and this is like a tie jacket. I wore a jacket.
It was like prom.
It was like prom,
It was crazy.
And so like we put all the glow stuff and we go out on the dance floor and we just get stupid together. I mean, we are dancing.
Well, not just with each other, it was everybody. Yeah,
everybody's dancing around and going crazy. And I'm like, I don't know if what I did qualifies as dancing, but I was moving and it was fun. And
You're definitely moving.
I was moving. We left there and we're like, that was so fun. Like, we need to do that more often. Like, we need to get stupid together every once in a while. Just do something different. Let our hair down and just have a good time. And it was so fun, wasn't it?
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Thank God nobody YouTubed that thing.
Yeah, no. That's good.
Man. All right, well, what's next,
All right,
babe?
so the next one, a spouse-centered home instead of a kid-centered home. So this one can be, I feel like as a mom, it can be super hard, especially when your kids are younger. You know, you're so focused in the day. If you work, you're, trying to make up that time you missed during the day with your kids, and sometimes your focus isn't so much on your husband, and you're falling asleep while you're reading to the kids at night, and you're in their bed, falling asleep in their bed, 6 nights out of the week. And really it's important to make sure that you spend that time with your husband, that you're, wake yourself up and go spend a few, hours with them, and make sure that your kids see that the priority in your life is your husband and the marriage. And if you guys are strong, that's going to set the best example for your kids, and they'll know that you're a unified front. I can't stress how important that is.
Yeah, and Mark and Karen touched on this.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. Mark and Karen touched on this yesterday as well. There are so many homes that are kid-centered homes, and they're not spouse-centered homes. And it's important to reverse that. And you think, well, when the kids are young, when they get older, to get better. All our kids are adults.
Yeah.
And it does not get better.
It's a little bit better.
Kind of, but they're still needy. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. And so it's even easy when your kids get older to have a kid-centered home instead of a spouse-centered home. And it's important for your kids to see that your marriage is number one. Because think of this, your kids one day hopefully are going to grow up and leave. What is your marriage going to look like when they're gone? Is there going to be any substance to that relationship? I've done a lot of marriage counseling. I've been through marriage counseling. And a lot of times, women will be more interested in being a mom than they are a wife. And men will be more interested in their pursuit of success or their business or whatever it might be than they are about being a husband. Your first priority, trust us. We'll talk about this here in a minute. It may not seem like a big deal now, the kids sleeping with you every night, you sleeping with your kids every night. You might not think it's a big deal now. It'll catch up to you, I promise. I promise. What's next, babe?
All right, serving one another. I like this one.
We're good at this too. Boom.
We are good at this. This is good. So we do little things. So I would say like this isn't a huge deal, but every morning I wake up and I go and I get Rick a glass of water because he starts his day out with water and I start mine out with coffee, and he's still sleeping usually, but I go and get his water and then I'll go make myself coffee. So I serve him first and then I take care of me. And then on Saturdays, the one day that I get to sleep in, because I do like to sleep in, he has a huge breakfast ready when I wake up. So he sneaks out of the room in the morning and goes for his walk, does whatever he does, and then I wake up and breakfast is made, and sometimes there's Starbucks in the kitchen for me, which that's always an extra good day. But those are little ways that we serve each other, and we start the day out serving each other. And I think the more that we serve each other, the more you want to do it. So I'm doing things for him, and then I see he's doing things for me, so I want to do something else for him. Great example to our kids,
I think this is
good
important.
for the marriage.
Even like she said, like I drink water when I wake up. Like I'll drink water for like the first hour. And so like she always, every time I get out of bed, there's a glass of water right next to my bed. And yeah, she's right. I mean, she works all during the week, and then she gets up early on Sundays to be with me all day. And Saturday's her one day she gets to sleep in. And so I get up early. I like getting up early. I go on a run, and then I come back and I make a massive, she loves breakfast. So I'll make every Saturday, You can come over to our house and hang out on Saturday too. Like, I make a big breakfast. We've had some of the staff over. I make a big breakfast every Saturday.
I'm going to wake up on some Saturday morning and walk out there and everybody's going to be
like,
there.
What is going
Hi.
on? What is going on? But Jesus said that he came to serve, not to be served. And so, like, we should serve one another. We should serve each other and not keep score. Now, let me say this. It shouldn't be lopsided, right? It shouldn't be one person doing everything and the other person just taking, right? There should be a good balance there. But oftentimes when we're serving each other and we're not keeping score, I did this, and this, and you haven't done any of this, that can be dangerous. But serve one another. So those are like 4 things, simple things that we try to do. And I think things that you can do in your marriage just to maybe make things a little better, to inject a little bit of life into your marriage. And so I just want to challenge you with those things. And so we're gonna wrap up talking about this. And this is really hard to do, but our thought is we have to talk about this because if we can help one couple here today not go through what we've gone through, then it's worth it. It's worth the pain, the rehashing, the difficulties. If we can help you, then we want to do that. Again, let me preface this by saying Nora and I love each other to death. Like, we've got a crazy cool connection. I can't imagine my life without her, but neither of us would wish what we've been through on the other.
No. Or anybody.
Maybe some of you have been through the pain of divorce. And as much as we love each other, we not that we don't wish we're together, but you know what I mean. We wish we hadn't gone through the things that we've gone through. And let me just say this, like, hers is 2010, mine is 2012. And we are still, listen to us. We are still dealing with the ramifications of that all these years later.
Yeah, I think we have, between us there's 6 kids, so I think all of them have dealt with it in different ways, and I think they were pretty much all at different ages. So they were all at different stages in their life when each of us were divorced, and I know one of mine took it very hard. Had a lot of just like was physically ill for years just because of the stress, and they were anxious about living in more than one place. There's so many different aspects, and for years it's different parts of it that just keep coming up, and it doesn't go away. And if anybody had told me when I was getting divorced, if they had said to me, wouldn't you do anything for your kids? And nobody ever put it that way. And I didn't either, so like that's on me too. But I would do anything to go back and take that pain away from my kids. I think I would have fought the biggest fight to do what I could to make it work, just to hang on and do all the resources, because my kids have been through so much. Their lives will never be the same. Like, your kids can get through things and still have a good life, but it's not what it could have been. And the example, if we could have made it work, and if I would have done more personally, I think, the life that they would have had would have been so much better. And the example that I could have set for them would have been amazing to see, fighting to make it work, not fighting, but fighting to make it work. It's the pain that it goes on for years. And even when we're happy, there's little things here and there, and you're always thinking, oh gosh, I never thought of that. I never thought this was going to still be.
Yeah, and and it's whether it's your fault or not. I mean, again, it's never one person, it's never one thing, but it's like all these years later, it's the biggest regret that I have in my life. And there's a lot of times I felt like a failure in life, especially I was pastoring a church and have that happen, and I've went to a life coach just to deal with regret and pain, and it's affected us, in some ways, but we, do the best we can. Second marriages have a higher divorce rate than first marriages, And so, but I think we're doing really well. We haven't been married too long, but we are both single for a while. And so if you're single, we've been there. There's hope for you. And they say, marriage counselors say that for every year you're married, you should stay single 5 years, for every 5 years you're married, you should stay single 1 year. That's how long it takes just to get mentally healthy again, to be ready for a new relationship. The devastation that the kids have felt has been, people think it's always going to be cordial. It never or rarely is. It may start that way, but it rarely and never is, especially when lawyers get in the ears, and the path of devastation has been unbearable at times. People say, well, we shouldn't just stay together for the kids. What do you and I say?
If you can do it, absolutely stay together for the kids.
You absolutely stay together for the kids. If any other reason, stay together for the kids, 100%. Again, if it's not a safe situation, if there's physical violence, that's whole
different.
nother.
It's different.
Yeah, that's different. That's a whole nother story. But if you're hanging on by a thread, or if you're contemplating, should we move on? It'd be better if I had another spouse, or if I was single. Listen, do everything you can do to make that thing work. And if you need to get help, you get professional help. Do everything you can. Everything you can. I've told you guys this, that when my ex filed for divorce, I had the names of 20 marriage counselors on my desk, and I never called one. Pride. Get help if you need help. You will not understand the devastation that it causes, the path of devastation that it causes for your children.
It's awful. It's the worst. And like I said, wouldn't you do anything for your kids? And, if you can keep trying, keep trying.
And we're not passing judgment. Believe us, we've been through it.
No.
And we know every situation is different. But if there is any glimmer of hope, if there's anything that you can hold on to, anything that you can do, any little tweak or fix, do whatever you have to do to figure it out.
And there's a lot of guilt afterwards, because I know there's quite a few people that have been divorced that are out there, and I get it, like the guilt afterwards, especially like hearing it now. It's like we're saying fight for it, and moving on is hard. Like I feel guilty all the time for what my kids have been through. And I understand that.
We've cried together so many times over this stuff.
It's heartbreaking. I don't know if. You hurt worse for your kids when your kids are in pain, and just living that all the time it's hard.
And it's only by the grace. I never thought I'd be back in ministry again. I was away from ministry for like 6 years. I never thought I'd be back. I didn't think I would ever be mentally, emotionally able. So do whatever you got to do. I want to close with this. I want to wrap up with this. Ephesians chapter 4. And I want you to mark this, highlight this, read this together. If you're single, use this as a kind of a launch point for any relationship you might get into. So Paul is talking to the church at Ephesus, which is a weird mix of Gentiles, Jews, all different nationalities. You have all different religions in Ephesus. There is temple worship, all kinds of, so you have this big conglomerate of different types of people. And so it's no wonder that really the central theme of this letter is unity. And of course, in the chapter 5, Paul goes into marriage and what a marriage looks like and all that. But right before he gets into chapter 5, he mentions these verses. And I want us to think of this in the context of relationships, in the context of parenting, in the context of marriage especially. He begins in verse 25. He says, therefore, laying aside all falsehood, speak the truth to one another. Right? This is that authenticity, being real, being humble with each other. For we are members of one another. Be angry and yet do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger. Mark and Karen talked about this yesterday, about not going to bed mad, not allowing stuff to fester, resolve issues. And do not give the devil an opportunity, because when we have anger and resentment, it gives the devil a foot in the door. He who steals must steal no longer. In other words, we should be transformed, and he should labor with his own hands and do what is good so that he'll have something to share with those that have need. There's that serving. And then this is so important. Let no unwholesome word proceed from out of your mouth, but only such a word that is good for edification, according to the need of the moment, so that it'll give grace to those that hear. We are oftentimes so good at finding all the faults with our partners. Everything that they do wrong, everything we don't like about them. Your relationship could be transformed if we just practice this one verse. Let no unwholesome, that means beneficial, is non-beneficial. Let no unwholesome word proceed out of your mouth, but only such a word that is good for edification. That means to build up. Do we tear down or do we build up? Only such a word that is good for edification and will give grace to those that hear it. And then the very next verse, it's interesting. Do not grieve the Holy Spirit of God. So our words could grieve the power of the Holy Spirit in our life. The way that I talk to Nora could grieve and limit God's presence in my life. Let all bitterness, wrath, anger, clamor, slander be put away from you, along with all malice. That's evil intent. Be kind to one another, tenderhearted, forgiving each other. That's that grace. As God in Christ Jesus has also forgiven you. So I wanted to close with that section of scripture. And it would be so good if you went home today and maybe tonight you read that together and commit to that. Can I pray with you guys? Father, thank you so much for your blessings. I pray for each relationship here today. I pray for each person who's single, who maybe is on the other side of some of the pain that we've talked about. God, I pray that you just bring a comfort and a strength to those here today. And God, I know too that when you're single, you're like, is this ever going to happen again? Should it happen again? But God, I just pray that it's far more important to wait for you to provide the right person than it is to force the issue. God, I pray for each marriage here, each relationship here today. Lord, there might be some couples, maybe they're in a timeout, maybe they're split up, maybe they're on the verge of it, maybe they're on the verge of giving up. God, I pray that you would take our advice, that they would hear from what Nora and I have been through, and that they'd give it another shot, that they would fight another day, that they wouldn't give up, that they wouldn't quit. And if it's possible, if there's any glimmer of hope, to do anything and everything they can to fix what's broken. It may take a while, but nothing is impossible with you. Lord, bless each person here today. I pray just for our weather, people driving home. In Jesus' name, amen. So a couple of things and then we're done. We have the big women's event next week. We need some men that would be willing to come and help set up and to help serve the women during that time. If you'd love to do that, email Jenny at go-newhope.com. You can find her email on our website. We need some men to help out so that the women can have a good time and we can help them out. Another thing too is this week, I've spoken to Tara, she's over all of our finances, kind of like our CFO, and then our financial team. And one of the things that we talked about that we wanted to do is to do something to help with the fires in Hawaii. There's been so much devastation, and we have a ministry partner, Convoy of Hope. They are boots on the ground. They are there right now providing food, resources, diapers, water, all kinds of stuff. And so we kind of thought it would be appropriate as a church. We can't do everything. We can't fix the situation, but we can do something. And so what we've committed to is we're going to give 10% of our offerings this week and the rest of the month to the devastation in Hawaii. So if you were, thank you, yeah. So if you haven't given, if you would like to give, the more that you give, the more that we can give to that. And so we've kind of made a commitment to doing that 10% we're going to give to this ministry that is there right now, boots on the ground helping. And so if you wouldn't mind being generous so that we could be generous to those there and at least do something that would be amazing. All right? Is Cece, where's she at? Is she here? No? Okay, so God bless you guys. Have a great day. Drive carefully. Be safe going home. And thanks for joining us. Nora, you did so good, babe.
Thank you.
You did so good. God bless you guys. Hello, thank you so much for tuning in to New Hope this week. You know, the church doesn't stop when the video does. And make sure that you share this with a friend. You can even support what we're doing via the Give button here on the left. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single Sunday. And we cannot wait to see you this week, either in person or online. Have a great day.